Hello, can you see me kind of? Maybe, sort of? I'm not sure if you can. This is a super weird angle, and the sound's probably not the greatest, and yeah, and I don't look great, and I don't feel great, so it's starting off on all the right notes. But here's story time because you all wanted it. An overwhelming amount of you wanted it. So we're gonna give it to you. I felt it was only fitting that I do it right away, and I do it impromptu at night like I did the question. So I lost my friend. He has been my best friend forever. And I didn't know what to do. I was miserable. I'm still very sad about it. And I was just at a loss. I don't know. I was at a loss. I was miserable. I in no way knew how to focus or handle the situation. I was so sad, and I am sad. I just froze up and was in shock. This person had been doing so good and was sober for such a long time and passed, and I was very sad about it, and I decided to just unwind and take a ride and relax because of the situation that happened. I just needed to think. So I drive very slow. I drive normally the limit or one under, and that's what I was driving. And I was driving the way I do, and I went, and I was going through the intersection, look left, look right, whatever, over the shoulder, it's good, and the light went from green to yellow, and all the way through, whatever, it was still yellow. I was on my way, and I said, "Let's go." Okay, so I pull over. That's what I can do. I looked, made sure I was safe to pull over. Person came up and said, "What are you doing out so late?" And I explained. It's like, I'm really upset, I was visibly upset, obviously, because I told them what was going on, that my friend had passed, and I just didn't want, I never want my family to see that, so I held it in all day, and I just wanted to get out. And the guy was nice and friendly and seemed to understand how I felt. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And I'm sorry if I'm looking in my eyes. I'm having trouble holding the phone, and it's uncomfortable for me to talk about this. So I apologize if this whole video is like just weird and off and whatever. I don't know where to look. Anyway, not the point. So he said, do you have your license? I said, yes. I gave him my driver's license. He said, do you have registration? Yeah. I said, why are you pulling me over? And he said, do you know you have to stop when the light turns yellow? And I said, yeah, but I was in the intersection already, and I thought you could go through yellow. And he's like, first of all, if the light is yellow, you have to stop immediately. And I said, well, I thought if you were right at the light and it clicked yellow, you could slow down and go through it. But I was in the intersection. I was already into it was a couple feet in it, if not almost halfway. There was no way. If I would have slammed my brakes as hard as I could, I would have been dead center of the intersection, and I would have been, blocking the intersection. So, plus there was a vehicle behind me, so I couldn't do that, whatever. So, he was like, no, you were driving fine, and you made it through. And I told him, I know I made it through. The light was not red because it just turned yellow. He's like, no, you made it through before, you made it through. He's like, backtrack a little bit. He said, no, you weren't doing anything bad. He's like, yes, you made it through. You absolutely were fine. You made it through while it was still yellow. It's like, but you have to stop while it's yellow. It's like, yeah, you made it through, but you did not stop. And I was like, I thought you can go through. And he said, no. So I was just like, okay, I didn't know that. So he's like, well, I'll be right back. So he came and he's like, can you turn off your car for a second? And I was like, what? He's like, well, what have you been drinking tonight? It's like, well, I haven't drank at all, except for way earlier. I had like a beer when I was talking to one of my mutual friends with this friend who passed, but it was like so many hours ago, it's not even funny. And that's it. And he's like, okay, well, anyway, but I said, I was like, if you have an issue with that, you can breathalyze me right now. He's like, oh, we'll get to that later. It's like, okay. I didn't do anything. I wasn't swerving. I had nothing on me. There was nothing in the car. He had me go out, and there was, by this time, 2 more cops pulled out. He had me do a full field sobriety test. I was in heels, so he had me on this road which had gravel everywhere. He had me take my shoes off in socks. So you're walking a line on gravel in socks. So I did fine. I passed everything, obviously. I was trembling because I have PTSD. So I was very afraid. I have a Support Our Police Forces tattoo on my arm. Like, I have no record. Whatever. But I did nothing. And I asked him, I was going 2 under the limit when we were going through. And he's like, I also noticed you did tap your brakes. Like, you slowed down when you saw the yellows. It's not like I didn't slow down even from going slow. Anyway, then he's like, well, would you agree to doing the breathalyzer? And I was like, I offered to right away. I was a 0-0. And so then when he came back, he's like, do you want to hear the good news? And I said, I've been being honest. So yes. And after I blew the breathalyzer, one of the young cops, not the one who did all the tests, but the one standing next to him, like, who had held the flashlight and been like the second person, there was a third one who stayed away. He was like, most people just lie, and they just say they haven't, and they just say that they didn't do anything, and they had, and they're not out at night driving because they're sad. He's like, you weren't swerving, you weren't doing anything wrong. He's like, but, most people don't drive cautiously and whatever at night just because they can. But I said to them, do you realize at the time I was driving, it was like 4:50, 4:45 in the morning. I just checked, by the way, because I had made a post right after, like a personal private post. I make those all the time to remind myself of events. Sorry if that was loud. So I checked the time that it was. So anyway, so they're like, you weren't doing anything wrong. And that's what bothers me. So they're like, well, the good news is you literally didn't have anything. Not even were you under the legal limit. Not only were you under the legal limit, but you had literally nothing in your system. So you were telling the truth. And I was like, of course I was being honest. Like, I was so mad. But I was being so respectful, and so I asked them how their day was. I was being polite, but I was like just trembling because I didn't, like, for all I knew, I know that so many times the person who s.a'd me threatened that he had like military and higher up people and family. And I have dated a couple of officers of the law, and I have dated people who are on the other side of things who aren't a big fan of that, who are more liberal. I feel like there are good people and bad people of all different colors, all different genders, all different things. But I feel like I have a lot of good friends and people who support and are of law enforcement. And with my case, I talk to the Franklin police a lot and have a lot of police friends. And so I was afraid because I wasn't in Franklin, and because I was like the town over, that maybe it was somebody that the person who s.a'd me knew, and they had them do that on purpose, and it was going to sound bad. I was just terrified. So anyway, it was really scary. But I mean, they had me walk the line, do the light test, like follow this light, follow my finger, like light in the eyes, follow my finger, the light in the eyes, all this stuff, walk the line. But the way the cops first of all said they're not going to write me any ticket, they let me leave free of nothing. Obviously, they apologized. They talked to me after. They told me I could go park in the parking lot and relax if I wanted. I could drive around. I was a free person. Obviously, there's nothing against driving. They were so sorry about my friend. The 2 cops that had talked to me were both nice to me. I actually asked, because there's like a ledge over to the side, if they would like stay there and let me take a second and sit on the ledge, and they did, so I could feel safe and sit on the ledge and not be alone. They made a horrible and unfair and profiling and wrong situation okay again. And it was so much better than this short and quick instance from the very police that are supposed to protect me in my town that happened recently. So I'll tell you what that was. So recently, on the 4th of July, the fireworks kill my PTSD. They just make it horrible. And I decided I was going to try to toughen it out, and it was bad. So I did everything I have to do in life and was a big girl about it. And then I decided to just try to toughen it out. Well, the police always tell me that, like, I can always go there if I need them, and that's a safe place to go. It's a safe building, and I felt unsafe. I felt like I needed to go there, so I had my grandparents with the girls. I was with them. I made sure they were laid down and asleep. They went to bed early that night, because they were up early in the morning, excited to do just some fun stuff and crafts. We had plans, and they went to bed early that night. Just because I know my PTSD is bad for the fireworks, so we planned for it. Well, they were really getting to me, so I decided to go out and just kind of make sure my grandparents were there in case they woke up, since I had laid them down so early, like I said, and I decided to go out and drive to the police station. Well, one of the loudest, fireworks sessions had been going on all of a sudden, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. So I started to call the police to say, can you guide me through getting there, because I was just terrified. And as the phone started ringing, the biggest boom went off. And I'd just gotten right by where the police station is, and right where the police, it's normally an intersection, it's really normal, but they had blocked a bunch of stuff off. They weren't letting people through for, how the fireworks were. And it was a red light that was, blinking red, and they were directing traffic, and at that time they hadn't let anyone through. Well, as the big boom went off, that second is when I said it went, there was a bunch of big booms, so I grabbed my phone to call the police, because it just terrified me, and they were not letting anyone go through. And then when the big boom happened, it was as the phone was ringing, and so it startled me. Well, apparently there was going to be a pause, and so they were letting people through. Well, it was like a pause, and the guy went like this to go through, and I took my foot and went to accelerate, but I was startled, so it took me a second. And the police officer who went like that, because I was accelerating but very slow, in the meanest and most heinous, the way the person who s.a'd me yelled at me voice, screamed in just the most foul way to basically hurry up and get the off the phone. But it was in the most nasty and vile way, and I was crying because I was driving. I was legitimately, obviously upset and in tears. I was legitimately I was so upset. I was so mad. I was so upset. I was so visibly crying. I was visibly upset. I was visibly just, I was not okay. And I was accelerating. I was going forward. I was not stopped. And it makes me so mad because there's no reason. He wasn't in the car behind me. It was from a stop. I was accelerating. And it was over a crowd, over fireworks, over carnival and festival rides that were, just right over there to the right of me. Not far at all. Over a band playing, over everything. And I know it was the radio. I don't know if it was the radio blasting or if it was the live band still going. I believe the band. But over loud music, nonetheless, in speakers blaring, over all of that. And like I said, the fireworks and traffic and the windows up and air conditioning blasting and the ringing in the phone in my ear. He yelled so loud I could hear him to the point where it terrified me, and in a pitch with hatred. Like, I understand. Is it right to be on your phone per se? No. But he didn't know. One, I was visibly distressed and very upset. Two, it's a very small area with very few police here. And it's been 2 years that I go in there. In the beginning, for like 9 months, I was going in there just about every damn day. I couldn't, like, they were in my home. They were taking evidence, rape kits, everything. It was traumatic. It was awful. I'm not saying everyone should know me. I'm not saying everyone should be a part of my whole life, my whole world. But it was disgraceful and disgusting behavior. First of all, I was alone at night, visibly upset and visibly shooken up. And he didn't know why. And I was accelerating. I was going forward. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, just not fast enough for the way he wanted me to be doing, which is ridiculous. There wasn't a line of cars behind me that was crazy or anything. This was like 2 cars behind me, but nothing crazy. And I was moving. And I had to stop at the stop sign, like I said, and it went from don't go to go. So, and either way, he's standing right there guiding me. He could have said, even if he didn't want me on my phone, he could have said, is there something wrong? Do you need something? Like, you can pull off to the side and make a call if you need to make a call. You can't be on your phone. Or, are you okay? Anything, or even if, like, there's no reason to have hatred or be furious at somebody, especially not even someone young. It could be anybody, especially as anybody alone, but especially a female alone. And in this area, I know, like, they haven't been able to do anything for me. Like, they haven't been able to keep me safe in multiple occasions since this, in multiple threatening situations since this. They've had to help after, and it's not fair. They've had to help after my essay. They know how bad that was. The hang-up calls, everything. They've been there after. The least they could do is not terrify me during. And they know I have PTSD. And even if it's not that, you don't know anyone's situation. It wasn't like my radio was off. I wasn't, so no radio on. I wasn't texting. I was not doing anything like that. I was literally sitting there, like, visibly upset, buckled, doing, like I said, doing what I was supposed to do. I was still driving the way I should, but I was visibly shooken. And I very visibly, like, jumped when it was like that. Like, you could see me shooken up. But and even if you're gonna say, hey, like, hey, you can't be on the phone, or like, we've got to keep it going, anything would have been better. But the way it was a scream, it was not a yell. It was not a yell. It was not just a yell. It was this vile scream. It was terrible. It was wrong. It was not what a professional should do. It's not what someone who's there to protect someone should do. Someone with that kind of damn temper shouldn't do anything. And I don't care. No one should be that mad at someone in that situation. You don't know what it was. You don't know who they were calling for. You know what I mean? What if I was trying to follow somebody who had stolen something? I was calling the police. What if you don't know what it was about? What if someone had called me because did anything? My kid was sick, or someone had passed. Anything happened. You don't know what people are going through, and you can't treat them like shit just because you want to. And I have always been an advocate for the animals that risk their lives, the cadaver dogs, and I'm so flustered even just telling this story right now. And what's sad? To rewind a little, I'm gonna pause. I'm getting so flustered right now, and I wasn't flustered talking about, as somebody who has been in the past forced to do drugs and got addicted because of being forced to use drugs, and was on them for a long time and fucked up my life for a long time, and who's been sober for literally a chunk of their damn life, enough to have kids and a successful life and a business, and you know what I mean? Like, my daughter is, you know, she's 5.5 years old, and I was definitely not on drugs pregnant with her, and way before I got pregnant with her, you know what I mean? And it takes 42 weeks is how long I was pregnant with her, and way before I got pregnant with her, I mean, I've been clean forever. It was way before then, because I had a business before then, and I mean, my God, and still have the business. Like, it's been a damn long time since I've been screwed up or messed up or been anybody who abuses substances or is reckless, because I'm just not that kind of person. And I'm not saying I haven't messed up. Yeah, I've drank. Yeah, I've done stuff like that. Like, I've had nights that are not great, but I don't do things recklessly. I don't put people's lives in danger. I don't use substances or anything. But yeah, of course, I've had like a drink at the end of the night, not in many, many months now. But to be in that situation was just so degrading. But it doesn't fluster me to talk about. Yeah, I was shaking and nervous then, because I thought, like I said, I thought I was getting framed for something, or it was like someone from Chris or something like that. And luckily it wasn't, and they were nice and it was okay. But I literally am like, I can't even, like, I just can't stomach thinking about how awful that person was. That officer or sergeant or whatever the hell he was, probably officer. But I'm not sure. And I have so much respect for them because of them helping me and them being there for me with everything that I went through. And I feel shitted on. I don't know. I think that there's no reason to be mad at a civilian to that level. If they're screaming and if they were texting or on a phone and blasting the radio, and they sat there for like 5 seconds or something, or even 3, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, and didn't pay attention, yeah, then get damn mad. But it's crazy. I think that's wild. And people are crazy nowadays. There was a situation too the other day where it wasn't me who was the person driving, but there was a left turn, and it was like crazy busy, and I saw this guy beep at a lady to pull forward, and she went to pull forward and she almost got hit. So she stopped, and the guy beeped at her again. So she rushed out, and the guy rushed behind her. He almost got nailed. And so then she obviously beeped. Well, she beeped, to be very specific, she beeped because he cut around her, then cut her off. He stopped the car, and this, like, frat boy looking guy was threatening to beat up this little girl. Like, she was a young lady. Like, he didn't go and beat her up, but, like, he was very, like, he stopped that car, and if she would have beeped again, he would have. It's crazy to me. Like, you wanted her to drive out into traffic and kill herself because you couldn't wait for a turn arrow. Like, or for it to just be clear. I mean, it was bad. It was really close. People are crazy. Like, you don't know what people are going through. Or even in cars, you don't know if somebody's sick. You don't know what's going on. Today alone, I was driving to get supplies today, and I was in the parking lot. It was supplies for some of my ferrets. I was loading my car. There was this gentleman. He was an older gentleman with his granddaughter. She got in the car. He has, for his granddaughter, he bought her dog, her large breed dog, an extra large kennel that was in a box, and he's struggling to carry this thing across the parking lot. No one offered to help him to the parking lot, like through the parking lot, but I didn't realize that until he got to his car, because I was like after him in line, so he had like pushed it out on the cart, like laid across it out to there, and then tried to carry it all the way across the parking lot. So I didn't get to realize this until I was out. Well, when I got out, he was struggling still, and I went over and I helped him get it in his car, which is not a big deal. Like, I obviously can help the person, but then to find out he is, unfortunately, and God bless him, and if for some reason somehow he sees this, God bless you, sir, and I hope you're okay, and I hope you make a full recovery, because he has cancer, and this poor man is alone. And he was still doing this because he loves and wants to be there for his granddaughter. Like, you never know what people are going through. You never know who has PTSD. even if they don't necessarily look like the typical person who would, you never know who's sick. Even if they look like they're out there doing stuff, you need to be cautious and considerate and kind. And for the police, just because somebody is out, they're not doing stuff. Like, it doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong. Like I had said to the police who did the whole sobriety test, I was like, look, it is nowhere near the time where it would be after bar close. Like, it's way too early in the morning. This is crazy. Like, I'm trying to get de-stressed, and you guys made it a lot worse. But even then, it's not nearly as bad as how this other officer acted. And that's sad. That is just absolutely terrible. It was deplorable and wrong, and there's no way to like email them or anything like that. I'd have to like go in and make a complaint. So I made a comment on their Facebook page just because it's wrong. I want to help people, and I want to make people better, and I don't think it's okay to just shit on everybody because of their job. But I think that when police do something bad, they need to be held accountable, because if we ignore 1 or 2 or 3 little things that the police do, they're going to start doing bigger and bigger things, and that's how tragic, terrible things happen. And it's not right. It's not right. I'm so thankful that you guys wanted to hear both stories. I was really touched by that. On a positive note, you guys have helped me so much. And you guys listening and being there, it means everything. I love you guys so much. Like, I can't even thank you enough. I can't believe you all wanted to hear this. And both stories, I'm moved. And I saw you guys that wanted the life update too. So I will absolutely give you guys that too. Don't think that I didn't see that, because I did see that. I know no one voted for the animal video, but that's something that just personally de-stresses me. So I might, what I'm going to do is, so it's not just something you guys hate seeing, because I don't want it to be something that like bores you and you don't want to watch. I might make like a long dedicated mental health video and then add like a very short clip in the end, like a couple minutes with one of my animals, just like a hey, and this is this animal and it's how it helps, this is how he or she helps me with my mental health. Maybe one that's like related to the video. I love you guys. I know there's so many like little details about how it affected me after I went home. That's something I want to say. With how nice the police officers after I had to do the whole field sobriety test and all, with how nice they were and how they talked to me, I went home and yeah, I was rattled, but I was okay. I went with no sleep after what happened with that, with the other one, with what happened on the 4th. I got no sleep. I went home and I was devastated. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't eat. I was just rattled. I'm still really upset today. And I think that speaks volumes, because if you just wrote down the 2 things that happened, I think that the bigger mistake was forcing somebody to go through all of those steps who did literally nothing wrong at all, factually. And I didn't, my car was perfect. There wasn't a light out. There was nothing. I didn't forget to use a blinker, like nothing. I just did it to do it. That's the bigger mistake in the eyes of everyone else. But the damage caused, like the moment I finally got a little bit of sleep was, I didn't sleep at all that night. The night of the 4th to the 5th. And then the 5th to today, the 6th, I got an hour and a half only. And in that hour and a half, it was horrible, because I had a nightmare about that person. And I normally only have PTSD nightmares that are about my PTSD and stuff like that, or about stuff along those lines. So it's really negatively affected me. So just please be aware of what you're doing. Think about how you speak to people. Don't hurt people. Don't cut people off. But if you do, don't try to retaliate. And if someone does, just think about your actions before you do them. You beeping a horn might seem like a good option because someone took a second to turn, but it really affects somebody with PTSD, and it really affects somebody who's nervous or who's sick and can't react that fast while driving, or elderly, or has a weak heart, or whatever it may be. So please just, think about what you do. Yeah, maybe you want to get somewhere fast, maybe you're impatient or have road rage, but the world does not revolve around me or you or anything. We all need to work in this together to make it a better place. And we've been trying so hard to survive and make this world better for everybody. We need to stick together. I love you guys, and you guys are a lot of what helped me be able to even get a little sleep, and what's helping me now is I need you guys, and you guys get me through this. You guys are what really pulls me through. I love you, and I will be back soon because I'm really trying to put out the videos for you guys and be here a lot more. Love you guys.